Is that going to work? Yes, okay. Sweet. So welcome to the 5-day challenge. As I said, we're going to be picking up the camera and taking photos every day to try and improve our photography. No, we are going to improve our photography. But why do we want to take better photos? Well, I've been teaching photography for quite a while now and have had lots of amazing women come through our trainings and come through our courses. And basically, we all generally have the same goals. We want to take better photos with our kids, but more than that, I usually find that the problems and the frustrations that we all have are pretty common. It generally comes down to a few key things that are not working out in our photos that we find really frustrating. So these are some of the photos where, they're just not quite right. And full transparency, the last 2 photos, the middle one and the one on the right, I took those as examples of things that can go wrong in our photos. But the photo on the left, my little daughter dancing in her purple dress, this is exactly the kind of photo that I used to take and find super, super frustrating when I was trying to learn photography. So, very similar to lots of people, when she was born, I bought a great camera expecting it to take these fantastic photos. And I really honestly couldn't figure out why my photos didn't work. And this was a classic example. She'd be doing something cute. I'd be in my house. I wanted to take great photos and they'd be blurry and they and it wasn't even that I knew the elements that weren't working because I just had no idea what I was doing. So lots of us make very similar mistakes in our photography, and that's why I love teaching and showing some really easy to implement techniques to help you get the most out of your camera and take better photos. Okay, so why this challenge? Why take part? Well, again, lots of people tell me that alongside being frustrated with not knowing how to take photos they love, lots of times instructions can be really confusing. So I'm keeping it short and sharp. Over 5 days, each day I'm just giving you one easy to apply technique or principle that you can run with and just focus on for that day. But also, it's the daily prompt to actually pick up your camera. Again, lots of us are super busy. You sit the camera on the kitchen bench potentially, and then things happen and you forget it's there, or worse, you tuck it away in its bag and it sits in the cupboard. This is a daily prompt to pick up your camera, so it's the motivation to do it. And the best part is that we're all doing it together, so we have that community aspect to motivate you, inspire you. And you know what? There's nothing more fun than being able to share the results of what you've been doing in a group. And if you're feeling frustrated, you can ask questions. If you're super excited because you nailed something, you can come and share it in the group. So that is what we're all about this week. And I promise I won't spend 20 minutes telling you all about me, but I thought I better give a really quick introduction if you are brand new to Click Love Grow. And we've had so many people join this community over the last couple of days, and even the last couple of weeks, we've had lots of people joining. So just a really, really quick intro. I'm Lou. This is my sweet little family, and I am your quintessential mum with a camera. I told you that's how it started out. My daughter is turning 11 this year, and I'm not quite sure how that happened. But that's how it started. That's how I fell in love with photography. And, it really didn't click with me for quite a little while. So the first few years of her life looked a little different in photos to my sweet little boy who's always having his photo taken. But once I got into it, I fell in love with photography, which I know is the case with lots of us here in this community. I did child and family photography for the first couple of years that I was running my business. And then I had the most beautiful clients. I ran a boudoir photography business in Adelaide, Australia. I adored every single one of my clients. I loved shooting boudoir, but as it goes with military families, I was in the military originally for 13 years. My husband was in for 15 years, and I knew that we would have to leave. So having a location-based business was not always going to work out for us because we would have to leave. And I know we have lots of military families. So shout out to our military mamas in the group having to move. It's always an awesome opportunity, but it wasn't so great for eventually I had to leave my business, which was sad, but that's how you found me here at Click Love Grow, teaching online classes, and this is what I do and what I love, and that's what we are focused on here today. Debbie says, sounds like me. Yes, definitely. We're probably talking, I've got to remember that we've got the delay, probably talking about with the camera, but shout out to those military families as well. Okay, so really quick run through of how our challenge is going to work. I'm going to be here live. These will also be recorded, so hello if you're listening to the recording. I'm going to be here live every day for the next 5 days. So Sunday evening here in the US, Monday in Australia. We'll run all through the week with bite-sized lesson and technique for you to apply. So watch the daily lesson, come and do it live. It's way more fun. And then I don't feel like I'm all alone. It's so much more fun than recording. Come and watch the daily lesson and get the challenge prompt of what the lesson is. Go and take gorgeous photos, take a great photo for the challenge, and then you can come and share your images in the group on social media, tag Click Love Grow, CLG Kids Challenge, and then day 1, day 2, day 3. Share them in the group if you want, but if you want to really dig in and participate and give yourself some extra motivation to take part every single day, we have some prizes, which I actually haven't told anyone about yet. I haven't written this in any of the emails or put it on the website, but I'm going to give away some prizes and I'm very excited. So if you take part every day and share all 5 of your images on Facebook or Instagram, tag Click Love Grow, hashtag CLG Kids Photo Challenge, the details that will be in the email. I'm going to give away to, I'm going to randomly choose someone that has done all 5 days and give away our enthusiast photography course and Lightroom training videos. Our enthusiast photography course starts in almost 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So I'm giving away an enthusiast photography course plus our Lightroom course plus a one-on-one mentoring session, and you can ask me anything. It can be business related, it can be getting me to look at some of your images and do deep dive critiques. We can talk about what you want to do. So that's the first prize. To someone else, I'm giving away our enthusiast photography course plus Lightroom course for them and a friend to take part in our next course. So let me know if you're excited for that prize. Hopefully that's extra motivation to take part in all 5 of the day challenges. So you just have to participate daily, share online, Insta or Facebook with all the hashtags and tagging that you need. And that's it. We can now jump in to day 1 of our challenge. As I said, each day is going to be something that you can go and apply. Okay, I'm just checking that everything is running smoothly. Let's have a look. I think we are. Cool. So, let's have a look. Okay, so let's kick off with day 1, and we're talking about light. Now, if you've been following Click Love Grow for a while, you know that I talk about light is everything, and it really, really is one of the biggest things that can make impact in your photos and really help you transform images where you're feeling frustrated and you're not sure what's going on to being able to take photos that are sharp and clear and look fantastic. And light essentially is what can help us go from photos like this, which are classic photos I used to take, kind of blurry, kind of dull looking, not really anything to write home about. Adorable baby, of course, and I always think that we should take photos of our kids, whatever is going on. They don't always have to be perfect, but when we're trying to improve, it can be frustrating. And literally the only thing I did differently in this photo is move to the light. So it doesn't matter what equipment you're using. You could be shooting on your iPhone. You could be using a beginner DSLR. You could be using your kit lenses. If you can move your subject into really pretty light, you're going to notice a big difference in your photos. His eyes are crisp and clear and filled with light. The camera, if you're shooting in auto, moving into great light is going to single-handedly improve your photos, because when you try and take photos inside and there's not enough light, your camera really has to struggle to let enough light into the camera. So what it does is it compensates by dropping the shutter speed or ramping up the ISO potentially. But if it does that, it it's doing its job, which is to take an image that is well exposed, but it's not knowing that we have all these, that we're taking photos of little kids. It's going to compensate, and we end up with photos that look like on the left, shot in order with the exact same equipment I used in the photo on the right. I just moved myself into the light. So getting close to a great light source is always going to make a huge difference in your photography. And then, of course, sometimes it's just recognizing the type of light that we're shooting in. So in this example here, where my poor tortured family was dragged out to take photos for me, the light is too much. It's too strong. So this example was taken in the middle of the day, and the sun was, you know, really high in the sky, and you can see not only are they squinting, so the light is too bright for them, which can be a really common mistake when we're taking pictures of our kids and family outside. They're squinting, but also there's really strong distracting shadows on their face. There's big, strong distracting shadows in the background of the photo. And if we move them into nice light, and in this case, nice shaded soft light, the difference is instantaneous. Again, no big upgrade to camera equipment. If you were doing this with your iPhone, you would literally get exactly the same result. But in just knowing how to recognize the type of light and looking at that photo on the left, I took photos like this all the time, and I honestly didn't know what was wrong. I was like, it doesn't look good, but I couldn't figure it out. So learning to understand that light plays a big difference is going to help you. And you can make a decision to either move into some shade or wait till there's better light in the day, and the impact is really, really obvious. Okay, so the two biggest issues that we see with lighting, before I tell you what today's challenge is, the two issues that I see are that just in the first example, there's too little light. Images can be too dark. They can be blurry if we drop the shutter speed to let more light in. If we put the ISO up to really high levels, on professional cameras, that's fine. We can totally get away with doing that. But if you're using entry-level DSLR or beginner DSLR, then potentially ramping up the ISO is not an option, as it causes too much grain. So the first issue with lighting is not having enough, and just simply knowing that if you don't have enough light, you do not have enough light. And then the other big issue that I often see is the light is too harsh. So it's too bright. Our subjects can end up squinting, but not only that, if we sit our subjects in direct, harsh light, we can end up with hot spots of bright light, other areas that are in really dark shadow, and that can be quite distracting in the photo. Okay, so it's all about soft light. I just want to give you a really super quick description of what soft light is, for those that this is a new concept to, refresher if you're all over it. But basically, soft light is light that falls softly over your subject. I like to be very technical, but soft light is just that. It's been, it's shaded somehow, it's been filtered, it's been, I'm losing the words that I'm trying to say, but hard light falls very directly on our subject. Soft light is more indirect. In this particular example, it shows really clearly. In the hard light, it's very harsh, it's too bright in this case. She has really strong shadowing around her eyes, so that's distracting, it's not flattering. But as soon as I step her back into the shade, she's in indirect light, it's not hitting her directly. And if we look in more closely, we can see that it's falling beautifully over her face. She has enough light to get those lovely catch lights in her eyes. We can see the reflections there, which are always great for taking portraits of kids, but it's very, very flattering. And you can see how easy it was to make an adjustment to get this particular photo. And then here's another example, because I find it easier to show in examples. So again, when you're outside, in this case here on the left, you can see that, again, the sun was streaming in onto my front yard, and I have a lot of tree cover because it's very tropical, very green, obviously. And so when I stood her in that direct hot spot of light, again, you can see that strong shadowing around her eyes. It's really distracting. So what I need to do is move her, and in this case, you can see the purple circle. Purple circle is where she was standing. It's very bright. If I move her into the shaded areas, then we've got that beautiful soft light. It's not hitting her directly. We've got great light in her eyes, again, it's just much more flattering. So that is the big takeaway from today, is to really find soft light. So what's our challenge? Well, I'm going to tell you, the best place to find soft light in your house, in any house, is literally by opening up your doorway. And this is something that we can all do. So I've lived in a lot of houses, and again, if you've been in the military, you know what it's like to move all the time to different houses, or in any kind of situation we have to move a lot. So I have been in a lot of places, and fortunately, in most cases, my doorway has been a go-to place for taking photos. Now, sometimes there's a lot of clutter when I open up the door. There's not like a plain wall there, which can be super frustrating. Sometimes you may not have enough room, like if you instantly open up into a patio or an open area and there's walls there, you don't have enough room to go backwards. So sometimes we'll have to be a little bit creative with how to use our doorway, but this is the challenge for today. I want you to take a portrait of your kids, of your pet, of a flower, because my mom was upset. She wanted to participate, but she doesn't have any of the grandkids right now. So I told her that all of the things we're going to talk about, most of them will apply if she wants to do some macro or portrait close-ups, which is also fun. And you also need great light for. So I want you to shoot in doorway light. So in this example here, he's sitting right in the doorway. I'm probably standing just, or kneeling just on the mat here, getting down to his eye level, taking the photo. Now, in this instance, you know, I did have some things that belong on the wall here, so I moved them out of the way so I didn't have too much clutter. And, you know, there's a little bit going on in the background, but because I was using a lens that let me create that blurry background, and we'll be talking about that in one of our challenges this week because it's definitely doable for everyone, I was able to blur out that background, and really I don't find it too distracting because we're just focused on his big, beautiful eyes. But if you have a doorway situation where there's too much going on in the background, then you can get a little bit more creative. And I'll show you some examples in a minute. So this is why I want you to use doorway light. Lots of times we want to take photos of our kids inside. Of course we do. They play inside. We live inside. But obviously we've talked about the fact that lighting can be an issue, and sometimes inside locations can be too dark. The camera, often if we're shooting in auto mode, it wants to compensate, and that can leave us with blur and grain. If it throws the settings out of balance in terms of what we want to achieve, then that's what usually causes that frustrating blur and grain in our photos. Or if we're shooting in manual and we're trying to get an exposure, but there's just not enough light, then our subject can really appear dim and dull. Even if we get our exposure like right on, if the lighting's too flat, that can leave an image that's too dim and dull inside. It's really hard to capture sharp images because of what we talked about, but also if we can't get enough light in their eyes, we don't get those great catch lights. And there's always going to be a payoff between getting the exposure and metering for the exposure that we want, setting the settings, and then the quality of the photo. So that's why in the first instance, we're going to move ourselves to the doorway. Now, as I said, potentially, maybe you've got a lot of clutter going on in the background, and that can often be something that really distracts the eye from taking fantastic portraits where the subject really pops. So you can get a little bit creative. So let's, for the challenge, take a photo in the doorway. And Tamara has said, does the photo have to be taken in manual? Can it be taken in auto? Tamara, you can absolutely take it in auto. And moving towards great light like this is going to let your photos in auto be a lot more effective, because your camera won't have to drop the shutter speed so much, basically, to let you take these photos. Jolanta says, I can't open my doors. I'm living in an apartment building. I'm going to give you some tips as well for some alternatives if you don't have a front doorway. Okay, so first part is to take a photo in the doorway. If you want to get a little bit more creative, have a think about different backdrops you can use if you want to take this style of portrait and eliminate some of the clutter going on in the background. So in this instance, I had my daughter hold up, it's a vinyl, I think it's like 3 feet by 2 feet, and I use it mostly for flat lay style photos, but because he was nice and little, I could definitely use it as a backdrop for my son. So my daughter held it up for me, it got rid of all the background clutter, and it allowed me to create this really fantastic, effective, and simple portrait. Now, if you want to get super creative, and this was a doorway where I did have to get quite creative because behind her there was a really heavy bookcase. I couldn't just move it out of the way. and there was too much stuff behind there. So this is actually from Party City. You can get it in all different colors. It goes on the side of floats for like parades and things. It comes in a roll and it's about $19, $20. I actually used to use a gold one of these for my boudoir clients quite a lot because I love the light bokeh that you get from behind it. So in this instance, another example of a really fun DIY backdrop that you can use. You will need a helper. Or do you know what I do if I don't have a helper? I sling things over the back of chairs or over the back of some furniture, use some pegs or some clips to hold it in place, because I know that sometimes you won't have a helper at home to do this for you. Or you can, oh, I think we've skipped a slide. Here you go. Or you can take a photo that's looking down. So I actually do all my flat lay style photography. I use different backdrops, or I use the timber on my floor, but it's also perfect for like object photos or product photos. And in this case, a baby. So again, I was using the doorway light, but instead of having the light come straight on to his face, I positioned him at a slight angle. So you can see the light is coming from this direction. The beautiful catch lights are here. So it gives us not only that great backdrop because we're shooting straight down, but we can have a bit of extra shadowing here, which is great to play with. We get a little bit more depth and drama in the photos. So this is another option you can use if you have a lot of things going on in the background of your photo, or if you have a baby that can't sit up or a little one. So I wanted to talk about some of the things to look out for. Now, this is not in the doorway, this is in the light, a window, because I was chasing the light. But you'll find at certain times of the day, the light streams in really hot and bright. And so obviously throughout the day at our house, we get the morning light on the front side of the house, and then it moves around as the day progresses. And I know some places are in really deep winter right now, so I apologize if you don't have any direct light streaming into your house, but I wanted to just raise this as a potential to watch out for. So you can see in the photo here, the direct light is hitting him and it's too bright. It's giving us this distraction of having half his face in shadow, half his face in light. So this is what one of the things we want to avoid. Now, Jolanta, you said you don't have any doorways. You can definitely use big windows, sliding doors. If you live in an apartment that has windows, sliding open doors, they can be perfect to use. You don't have to go outside. And I know some places still have snow, so you may not be able to open up your front door if it's too cold as well. So you can definitely use a window, and windows can be used just like a doorway, obviously, except you can't step outside them. But window light can also be great because it can be a little bit more directional. And in this case here, this is too much, so be wary of that. But positioning your subject in line with the window and then lining yourself up with the window can allow you to take images that are a little bit more dramatic and interesting than just using that flat light or the light that's coming on directly from the doorway. So this is another option to play with if you want to give yourself a bit of an extra challenge. Both of these examples were using windows, and so the window is here and I'm standing here shooting onwards. So in this case, we have the light illuminating her hair. In this case, we have the light hitting mum's face and just showing us the side profile of baby. So don't be afraid to use light that is a little bit more directional. Just be conscious that you don't have direct light hitting them to cause those shadows. You can just move out of the light a little bit or wait till the light moves to a different direction. Okay, and here's another example where we're getting more dramatic still by just stepping away from the light. So the further you step back from the light source, you'll notice that the light tends to leave a bit more shadowing. It becomes more directional. So in this case here, we have, again, our window, or it could be our doorway here with a plain wall running this way instead of behind the straight in front of the door or the window. And this is what allowed us to get this lovely directional light for a bit more of a dramatic portrait. So they're the different options that you can play with. So that's our first challenge, is doorway light, is to shoot a portrait in your doorway. If you're starting out, simply aim for your child in the doorway. And we're going to talk a bit later in the week about keeping them still, but you know, give them something to do, give them a little chair to sit in. It could be just a head portrait that you're taking or a full sitting portrait. You decide what you want to do. If you don't have a doorway, you can use large glass doors or windows. This particular photo here, I didn't open up the doors. They were big sliding doors. I was lying on the floor. I had baby on a little blanket with a plain wall behind her, and you can see the catch lights in her eyes. The light is directly in front of her and I'm lying down really low. So you can use those. If you have a garage or a patio, lift up the door on your garage. That counts just like a big doorway, and you'll get that really fantastic soft light as well. Or if you want to challenge yourself a little bit more, play with directional lighting rather than front on. You can choose what style you want to use, and you can even create some DIY backgrounds if you want to have some extra fun. So that is our first challenge, short and sharp. We talked about light. So let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Are you excited to take today's first challenge? We're going to be building on our skills as we go through the week. You can absolutely shoot in auto if you want. Challenge yourself to shoot in manual if you're already happy playing around in manual. And if you share, come and share your photos in the Facebook group. Someone asked, the comments have disappeared on me. Someone asked about sharing them. So share them in the group. If you want to win or go in the draw to win one of the places on our Click Love Grow enthusiast photography course, then yes, you do need to share them either publicly on Click Love Grow or Instagram. Use the hashtags CLG Kids Challenge, hashtag day 1, day 2, and tag Click Love Grow so that we can see that you've been sharing them. And at the end of the week, we're going to go through and have a look at people that participate in every day, and we'll randomly choose a winner for the one-on-one mentoring and the enthusiast and Lightroom courses, and another winner for the enthusiast course plus the Lightroom course for you and a friend. So let's have a look. Let me know if you're excited to take part. The challenges will be placed up on our website. So tomorrow you'll receive the email prompt for day 2, and that'll have a link to go and watch all the videos. I'll pop it on the thank you page as well so you can get to it from the emails that you already have. Let's have a look. Okay. Just making sure that we got everyone here. So I'm excited to see your photos, excited to see them shared in the group. And I'm definitely going to be doing this challenge myself as well. I saw my daughter wearing this really cute head. She was wearing this daisy hair tie thing around her head. I don't know where it came from, but I thought, right, I'm totally going to challenge myself to take part this week, obviously, but I really wanted to get a sweet photo of her wearing that. So I will share my photos as well and pop them in the group with our hashtags. Let's have a look. Someone said that the video is dropping out. Hopefully it is back and everyone saw that okay. Well, I can't see any questions, but I know we have a little delay, so I'm just waiting to make sure that I don't miss anyone. But of course, you can post any questions you have under the comments here, so you can watch the video. Let's have a look. But I hope you have fun. Enjoy this challenge. I'll be back with challenge 2 tomorrow. And as I said, I look forward to seeing your photos. Don't forget that you can participate to win a place on our next photography course. And I think that's it. So I'll see you. Bye. Oh, it's me again.